Obviously, so I decided to leave it on LinkedIn.
Going live.
We're live. Okay, give everybody a few minutes as always. Post didn't travel very far, unfortunately. But
I think I put myself in a LinkedIn shadow ban.
what'd you do? I don't know.
I told you I was trying to post like twice a day for a little while there, and it punished me quickly.
It's hard to tell what actually works and how long you're supposed to test something. That's what's so difficult, right? Because you could obviously try that for like 3 months and I have a bunch of data and it was really bad, or you try it for a few weeks and you're like, I don't even know if I had enough to make a decision. That's what's tough.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think I've ever run into a platform like LinkedIn like this that gives people such it's such a Wizard of Oz. You have no idea how the whole thing works.
I've been thinking about this in the same way that it's a platform run by an algorithm controlled by people. And I think that's different than most algorithms to say where you just blow up on TikTok because you blow up. I don't think there's anybody sitting there saying this video should go, this video should go. I think it has something to do with retention and how long people are looking at the video, who likes it. And I'm sure there's a lot of other things that go along with it. But still, it just seems like there's that human hand behind LinkedIn. So that's their way of trying to control the content. So I don't know.
I agree. It's funky. I would love nothing more than to get someone who's inside LinkedIn to talk to someday.
That would be awesome. I'm sure that's absolutely forbidden. But it would be cool because everybody wants the real answers, like what's going on, why what levers are being pulled, what changes can we expect, how do we play to this algorithm while being authentic to ourselves. I think people have real questions they want answered, and that's why we're here. Now, today we're going to talk about, what did I even put the title as? I can't even read that. Defining leads through something.
Intent.
Thank you. Defining leads through intent. I couldn't even remember what my own title was. And I think it really helps to define channels and people's intentions and actions on each channel. I think that helps people in terms of separate the marketing cobwebs like in their head. And that's something I want to go over today. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another random episode of Advisor to Advisor. We've been getting a lot of inquiries about when the show is coming back or what we're doing, and we don't know, or we would tell you. So we'll be popping up here and there, and now it's here. So today we're going to be talking about defining leads through intent.
Well, I didn't expect that to be the topic, but I'm game for it. So let's dig into that.
What do you think the topic would be?
I thought it's been, a few weeks, if not a month since we've been live. I thought you'd give it a little bit more of a fluffy layup kind of conversation.
No, I don't. I feel like what I think we've been talking about a lot is feeling like the content isn't resonating as much on LinkedIn. We're scrolling faster. You can feel when something isn't going to hit like right away. And I think a lot of the content feels that way. And I wonder if it's just so many creators that we're quickly reading what a post is meant to feel like versus when it's actually resonating versus when people are trying to make it resonate. Just feels like everybody's reaching a little bit. So this is actually more of just a fundamental episode of going back to defining the characteristics of what a lead is, each platform. And I think that really helps people target their marketing and the message that they want to say.
Perfect. New title: Fundamental Lead Gen.
Something.
Look, I think about this. You and I talk about this all the time. This is one though that I have been thinking about. And while we're coming out of this kind of digital COVID hunker down moment time, 18 months, whatever it's been, that has also fast forwarded all of our individual attention spans. And on top of that, having a shorter attention span collectively, we've all gotten a lot better at catching people's attention digitally and putting more out. So there's more volume, less time to give to it, right? So you're only going to give me a second and a half, whereas 18 months ago you might have given me 5.5 seconds. And I think about that, and I think that's actually happening.
I agree. It really makes you think in terms of how long something can be, or the content you put out, or what works depending on how strong your brand is versus what works when you're actually starting a brand. And I think one of the biggest things that when we're trying to explain, we have sales calls with individuals who are all for marketing and they're just figuring out how to distribute. And then we have sales calls with individuals who are like, what's the point of this? And that's where I think we get into defining what a lead is, backing into the point of an attention channel like LinkedIn, the fact that people are scrolling. And when you have that data, when you understand people are giving you 1 second, I think it really helps you execute on what you should be doing and the topics you should be saying. And obviously some of these surface level metrics that I mentioned as low intent can help us make a little bit of decisions, but they can't help us make big decisions because it's not anybody necessarily raising their hand or saying that they're ready to buy something. And I think that's where I got into defining a lead.
Let's dig into that. I mean, you've always had a good handle on this intent and quality lead conversation. So let's dig into a little bit about where this comes from, because obviously this is coming from conversations you and I are having on the back end, you and I are having with prospects, potential clients, and then you and I are having the same conversation with actual clients of like lead generation and how they should be doing it. So dig in for me a little bit and give the audience a little bit more context as like to what the problem is that people are running into and that we're running into.
I think there's two sides of intent. You have your own intent, and then you can read the intent of the audience. And that's where I'm going to stick to for this episode. So obviously we always talk about our own, making sure you're delivering with a good message and being yourself. So I want to separate those two. I'm just talking about the intent of the audience member and what they're actually doing. I think like when I say long ago, a couple years ago, even probably 2016, automatic webinars would get you somewhere. Facebook was still branding. Ebooks were still hitting every once in a while because it wasn't so new that people scrolled past it. It didn't have that transition of, I'll give you 4 seconds, now I'll give you one. Mm-hmm. And now that that's here, I think that's where we're focusing on really the definition of the intent of an individual and where is intent in 2021. And the intent for an individual of my low intent list to me is somebody who is either curious or in research mode. And it's the surface level metrics that we can all grab, but don't actually tell us anything. And that's where I want to focus on defining what a real lead is, which is why it separates us from buying leads, right? Nobody wants to buy leads anymore because they understand that they don't know where those come from and you're not sourcing your own. So it's not going to work. And that's kind of my thought process.
So if we're talking, let's just separate this. We're talking organic leads that you're bringing in through content or messaging or some sort of advertising that you're putting out that you yourself are bringing in, not you're buying a list of 1,000.
Yeah. And I would say more so than even organic, I would say, sourced from your company, like you built the list leads.
Inbound.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or so yeah, I guess so. Like you meet somebody at a conference, 10 people give you their email, you know what I mean? Like at a seminar from 5 years ago, and then you're sending them your email newsletter like we do. I don't know if that's necessarily inbound, but to me, that's still you building your list. You met that person, they saw you. To me, that's more of a qualified individual than anything.
I appreciate that explanation. That's because inbound, you're right, is a little different. So what you're saying
but yes, inbound is the best, and the point we're doing on social media in general. Yeah.
But what you're saying is in a list of leads you've curated yourself is at least a list of people that you can reach out to who know your name when you hit them.
It's the idea that I believe that based on the channel now we're talking about, whether somebody's going to open my mail or open my email, is I want them to be on that list and know enough about me from some attention grabbing activity, whether that be the seminar, whether that be a piece of my content that funnels them into a place where now I think they'll actually pay attention.
Okay, good. So you got their attention. Now what? So let's work on this. The intent part. What do they have to do to show you enough intent to take that next, for you to take that next step to engage them in a conversation?
I guess obviously that can be hand-to-hand combat. When you're talking in person, that's difficult. So if I can separate those two as well, I'll keep it on social media. The high intent to me, which we drive and believe in driving through our content, is something that I would say either a message that wants a call to speak more about services, that's very direct, an email that says we like what you guys do, and those obviously coming inbound, as well as maybe somebody responding to an email that we sent. Rather than somebody just opening it, I would want somebody to respond and say they were showing some type of interest. But normally it's leading right to the result. Something that tells me I know this relationship is moving forward. And it's very clear when you spend enough time online, after a few messages or whatever it is, whether somebody is going to keep messaging you or whether it moves. And that's why I say when somebody jumps to the phone call, that's the first thing that tells me they're ready to at least learn about the services. And it's almost like if we had a course and they wanted to try it for a month, that to me would be high intent, that somebody is contacting us to try the course because they're interested in it specifically. And that's at least the sales opportunity that I want, versus somebody who just likes a video, or I see somebody visits the website, but they don't actually ask for an inquiry. And I get excited because I know who visited the website was tagged and they're a CEO of some company. And, now I feel like that's a lead because he's watching me.
Where are we going with this for advisors, right, who are watching and listening? Like, are we saying that there's a behavior out there where they're examining who's liking their content and then reaching back out to them to attempt to bring them in to sell them, but that individual who liked the content never had that intention?
No, that's more of an example probably for the B2B level of somebody who's really looking at like using Salesforce or something like that and watching their website and things that are happening. I would say more so from the advisor level, it's just to say why we really think content works, why we believe in this, and then what message you have to focus on of getting that end result. When you want somebody to contact you and you want somebody to make that next move, we really have to figure out what we need to say to get there. And I had a post recently about the vanilla content that it feels like, or the consistent content because we're scrolling past it. Mm-hmm. And I just think that comes from everybody kind of talking about the same thing in a similar way. And now as we're reflecting and trying to figure this out, not saying we're perfect, I'm just trying to figure out how to be different. I think that's what everybody else needs to go back and think about that too, is remember, we don't need likes and comments. We need messages and emails. And that to me leads to business, if that's your intention of being here, obviously.
Yeah, I think that's one that we talk about all the time. I co-sign. I'm on board. Like 52 likes from your friends feels cool, but at the same time, that's what social media does to us. Like if LinkedIn, like, let me ask you this, because I'd love to see if they ever did this, LinkedIn or Instagram or anything. I know they're toying with it. If they hid the amount of people that liked and commented and only you saw that, what would that do to the human behavior, the psychology of the content we're putting out?
Yeah, say that one more time.
Did I cut out on you?
Oh, it had to be my side, but I'm sure it was.
I know some of the social platforms are toying with this idea. What if LinkedIn hid the amount of engagement every post was getting and only the content creator could see it? Would that change the way people are behaving?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a reason that when you see something that almost has like 1,000 likes, you almost like it again. But if you see something with 2, you're like, not good. Mm-hmm. You almost qualify it by accident. Because
isn't that such horseshit? You're using peer pressure. Like, well, if they didn't like it, I don't like it either. But you still liked it. That's the thing.
True. Or did I even take the chance to consume it when I see that it's that low? Or if I see something that's like 21 minutes, it has 59 likes. I'm like, even for a pod, this is popping. Like, what is this? What is this post saying? And then sometimes it's crap, and sometimes it's not.
Yep.
It's hard to distinguish those things, and I think that's why I really try to focus on the message. And the reason I'll bring a personal example up. We talk a lot about personal brand and saying things outside of business. And I think that's decent advice, right? But we've been talking about this, Corey, and I want to deliver my new updated insight. I've actually been backing off personal brand. And what I mean is leading into, or I want my personal brand to reflect business. I find the most successful people on here have their personal brand, but I don't really know anything about them. I don't know if they run, like, I don't know if they like sandwiches or steak. I don't see anything outside of their personal brand is just used as the spotlight for their business. And I understand if people are here for different reasons, but I want my message to get through of what I want people to consume, to know about me. So that's why I've been backing off comments like, me talking about my children that I think can get 50 to 100 likes. I'm putting out consistent videos that I think are going to get, 18 to 30 likes because I want it to resonate with the people that send me a message or send me an email.
This is a tough one because I don't disagree. And you and I have talked about this. I don't disagree with you. But at the same time, who are we, not us, but who collectively to say that the platform needs to be a certain way? Like, I really did appreciate Keith Wilson's post 2 Saturdays ago that depressed me and many other fathers in our 30s about life going too fast. And right, but it was a good video, and that had nothing to do with business. There's a lot of that stuff out there that I do enjoy. I'll share a picture at the beach on the 4th of July with the family. But I get what you're saying is there's a ebb and flow to it. Too much of it is like, I don't know, like, what are you doing here? Too little of it is, is everything this guy does just talking about business? And is there a right or wrong?
And I guess it depends how good it is. Because if your message is consistent but weak, then obviously nothing works. And the personal brand probably helps more because that's more interesting than the business side of what you're saying. And then maybe it adds to it. So maybe it is like an ebb and flow, like you said. And I'm not sure, but what I like, at least on social media, for something that feels so loud and feels so busy, is that when people look at my name, they know exactly what they're going to get and what I do and who I talk to. And I just think that's easier when you stay focused in content for business growing purposes. But you're right. If it was somebody I cared about and I already had a brand, like maybe if I found out, some of the marketers that we watch or some of the people we engage with did jujitsu, I'd be like, that's awesome. So yeah, I don't know. I
wonder, this is a tough one for me. I wonder if maybe some of the people you're referring to don't have a level of already have a level of success where there's a I don't give an F attitude about it. And like, they're like, I don't care if you like my stuff or not. Like, or there's 2,200 people that are going to like my business post. So what, like, there's no reason of me sharing any barbecue post anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. And I guess it just depends on your intention. Like, I guess that's my point. Do you think the family picture at the beach, does that let people in and resonate and follow? Do you think that could possibly grow the business? Or
I'll tell you my frame of mind with that, right? So 4th of July, literally, my frame of mind is not, I promise, is not, this is going to get a lot of engagement. My frame of mind is, I'm always thinking of what I can be putting on LinkedIn. And I'm like, today I'm not in the business frame of mind and it's not a real business day. It's the 4th of July. Like, so for me, my mind goes like, this is what I'm doing today. Hope you all have a great 4th of July. That's it. Like, that's just where my frame of mind goes is I want to be out there and today's not a business day for me.
I do agree with that because I wouldn't say I take over those days and treat it like any other day. Honestly, what I feel like it's been skipping. When I usually scroll through on those days, you just flags or whatever. Then I'm just like, there's the regular post or St. Patty's Day or something. It just
everyone downloaded the same stock image.
Yeah, basically. But I do agree. I like the frame of mind of what you think people are in, and then you apply to that. So I do think it has an in the moment feel as well that goes with it. So I think it's also always going to be a personal feel of what people want to share and how far they want to go and what their intention is and what they think. I don't want it to seem boring. And again, I don't want my message to seem so repeating that people get tired of it. And don't resonate with something. So it does have to feel new and updated. And I think that's the thing that personal brand always does, is you can always let somebody into something new, and it adds this fresh feeling to you. So maybe there is a little bit of power that comes with the personal brand, and I'm sure I'll keep some of it around.
Yeah.
I like pushing personal brand in stories and in comments more than my feed, I think, is my separation, only because that's where I want people to scroll and say, like, this is what you get.
Yeah, I think the stories thing's a layup, because that's where that's expected. Hey guys, well, there's about a dozen or so you here, and thank you for being here this morning. Look, if you guys have any questions, let's use this time to get into any of that. I don't expect, there to be a handful of questions, but if you have them, let's dig in. And Ryan, for the next handful of minutes, I mean, what else? I'd love to chat about some other stuff that we've seen going on since we haven't been as active. Is there any hot topics? Stuff that you want to chat about or dig in about?
If I'm going back to like what I think works, because I think what I've been challenging myself with is really having the results conversation, because it's like, look, you got to believe in this. You got to, like, it sounds very high level and flaky, like brand, you got to get your audience out there. And it's like, and I get the idea of like, but what does this mean for me? Or how do I get to that level? How do I get people to message me? And I think that's the hardest part, obviously. And I actually go back to the beginning of the relationship with a consumer. And I think that's why it's so difficult to grow a business at the beginning, is because you don't have enough data to put out content that matters. So while you're learning, your marketing improves. What I would suggest for anybody who's been in the business for a long time is they go back to client discovery. They start unlocking problems, having deeper conversations, extending those meetings for as long as they can, if purely for the selfish reason of not only providing more value for the person in front of you, but to get more content ideas, finding more repeatable things that I think actually works. I think the things that we need to say as advisors are just responses to the things that people say to us on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I really like that. I had a conversation with Jake Rushton, invited me to chat with some of the guys yesterday in the 401k club. And there was some really good dialogue going on back and forth. And some things came up that you and I talk about all the time. People saying, I know how important marketing is, I just don't know how to get started, right? As that being just a big one, which, sounds so elementary maybe to you and I, or to this community, because we've talked about this stuff. I mean, we're doing this show daily for 6 months. So we've talked about this stuff ad nauseum, but that's a real challenge for not just advisors, but for anyone in the industry. Is just like, I get it. I see the people out there. I just don't know what to do to get, like, I can't get out of my own way. So I it's going back to the basics. And I think the one piece of advice that you just shared, and that I want to echo and make sure everyone hears, is like, we're overjudging ourselves and getting in the way of our own movement. Like, so many times we sit down, we have a great idea, we want to share it, or we put a video out, or we create something and we look at it before we hit send or post or share, whatever. And we don't do it because we're in that high school frame of mind of like, this doesn't match what my peers are doing, or this might not be up to the quality. Like, what we have to do is remember, and I shared this with you guys in LinkedIn on someone's comments, Ryan's, I think, like, we have to stop worrying about who's watching on a contemporary level and start worrying about who's watching on a consumer level. And I think that's the mind frame that I want everyone to kind of walk away with.
Yeah, I agree.
Got a little deep there for a second, but
yeah, really deep. I think also getting started is difficult, especially when you think about everything that you could be doing. Everybody's like, all right, I don't know if I should do videos. We hear this a lot when you think about just starting. Really, I think people also think about, who should I compete with? I can't do video. Keith is crushing video. I can't do drawings like Nick does drawings. You know what I mean? This person's a good writer, and you knock yourself out of all the mediums. I would really say a step-by-step process for everybody just getting started would be to introduce yourself on LinkedIn, because I think that's the easiest thing to do. And I think it gets a decent reaction and starts some conversations, and you see what LinkedIn is about, and it puts you here for a little bit. And then, especially from the advisor level or 401k level, wherever, financial industry, I would start telling stories that doesn't share any personal information, adds to customer success, because I believe that would resonate with other people as well as advisors who will engage, and you'll get some likes. And again, I think that will keep you pushing through in the beginning while you start to find your cadence of what you want to talk about.
Yeah, agreed. It's been a journey, man. If you think about it, it's been a crazy 18 months.
What did you have to do to start posting? Did you feel like you had to get out of your own way?
Absolutely.
Especially because
I'll tell you the truth.
I never attach to anybody. I can only imagine coming from the corporate world that when you're posting something, you're thinking like, man, I'm offending like Stephanie and John, and like Tim thinks I'm a dick now. And like, I can imagine.
Well, I wasn't offending anybody. I wasn't coming out and just trashing things. I'll tell you the dead nuts, honest truth. Keith, you're here right now, so this is cool. This is real life. I was sitting in my office in Princeton, New Jersey, and literally saw Anthony friggin' Ruffalo in a yellow tracksuit on LinkedIn. Looked at his title and was like, holy shit, that's a financial advisor doing like a commercial as a brother-in-law. I mean, this was 2019, early 2019, maybe 2018. This was like early Anthony Ruffalo content. And then I saw him, and then I saw this other guy, Keith Wilson, start to be out there and push the envelope. And I didn't know the two of them even knew each other, which they may not have, probably didn't even know each other at the time. But I started paying attention. I was like, wow, if these two are doing this, and I thought this, I was like, they're financial advisors in the industry and they're doing this. And then I started paying attention and started kind of not necessarily just paying attention to them, paying attention to the platform as a whole and how it was maturing. And I finally started dipping my toe in the water of being like, I just need to be out there more. And it would be it was probably more of those high level posts of like positivity, like, cause I'm coming from the corporate world, like, it was just some of that positivity stuff, but it started to have some traction. And yeah, I absolutely had to get out of my own way because no one at my office shared anything. No one at the other offices that I worked shared anything. So there was a lot of that feeling like, all right, who's like, it's that high school feeling, man. It really is.
That's tough, but important to recognize and realize as a real thing, especially when we're talking to people. And it's not something that's easy, and that's also going to be fun to admit or to talk about. So usually sometimes, I think this episode and what a full episode could also be is focusing on your message and content that we think works. And I think I labeled this one time of trying to get people to transition from being an audience member to being a consumer. But it's something that we should tackle, it by itself, as it's an entire conversation. Besides just obviously defining the lead, we have to make sure we're putting out the information that resonates with people. And I think a lot of vanilla comes from pulling punches.
Yes, absolutely.
And being corporate. And obviously from the advisor world, we are boxed in to a certain degree, but not as much as people play. And that's the thing we have to figure out is how do we mentally push the line and physically against compliance enough to be able to say something that resonates. It doesn't have to be crazy or salesy, just something that resonates, real conversations. And that's why I think most people stay so high level, is that they're afraid to dig deeper and cross that line.
I believe I've preached this forever, and I take this as my own advice. Like the regret of looking back and saying, I wished I had done more. I wished I had done, eats me alive as a marketer. It eats me alive because I know these moments in time come and go. And then when they're gone. Like they don't exist anymore. And I've seen it. And you and I've talked about this. This thing is changing. It's not just LinkedIn, the world. Like I already looked back a year ago and I'm like, I should have just pushed harder. I should have put out more original, authentic content. I should have filmed myself more. I should have started my own YouTube channel 12 months before I did. And I'm not talking like a decade ago. I'm talking like, I'm looking in the rearview mirror like months. Like, and this is another one. Like we could pin this if we wanted to. And I could look back in March and be like, you even said it in July and you didn't do more. Like I think we're all going to have some level of that regret. And it's finding that balance in the moment of, I need to push more and do more and put more out versus holding ourselves back because the fear of judgment.
And then you think you can't get over that hurdle, and then you hear the platforms changing, and then eventually one day it actually does. And it does turn into Facebook where you have to pay to play. Mm-hmm. And then it turns into a different situation where you're allocating dollars, and now you're really changing your message, which you never figured out in the first place for posting. And then it becomes another platform that you waste a few dollars on because it doesn't work. And then you go back to whatever else is working.
Yep.
And I think something I heard too on here, which was pretty great, was if not LinkedIn, then where else?
Yeah.
You know, where else are you going to play? Like where else is going to work? And I think it depends. Obviously, your people have to be here. You know, your focus has to be here. But with it being the possibility of still reaching people organically to be a free site that we can all work on and post content, you know, it's still our main focus and it's still getting results. And you know, I'm looking forward to the next few months to see how this all plays out.
This is fun to be back live, fun to have these chats. I think the daily thing's probably a little much for us right now, but we should try to get some rhythm and flow back together for this.
Yep. Yeah. Just as I guess we can go off the record. Appreciate you guys sitting here for this show. And thanks. You can either go back to work or you can listen to us rant right at 10:01. Not a bad
the
shot.
rants are always good, you know. Put it on in the background and listen to some Corey and Ryan bullshit.
Exactly. That's all. That's basically what you get from the beginning of the episode. We just changed it to off the record.
Just a new title.
Just a new screen. Yeah, just a new screen.
You know, let's talk about the hires. We've got 2 new employees, which we're both super excited about. They're, you know, full-time is probably not necessarily the word because full-time sounds like it comes with benefits. We're not offering benefits yet, but we've got payrolled employees, and that for me is super exciting.
Yep. We're shitty owners. So now, obviously, as an advisor, there's Jake. Jake's going to be like, they don't have a 401k. What are you doing?
Jake's icing his.
I sent you a hat.
Jake's icing his knuckles after his little scuffle last night.
Oh, okay. Did he get in trouble? Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
No, he shared on his story a little run-in with a big diesel truck while he was on his bike.
Oh, really? I was going to actually say, did he fall off his bike? Like almost as a joke. And I'm glad, you know, now I kind of still did, but hope he's okay. So, what else? 2 hires. Really, we've just been building, which is something that's cool. And something that I really appreciate doing is kind of growing in the background. We're actually building a new Wix website, as that's what we've been using to deliver for individuals. Building websites is something we've been doing, which has been cool. Stepping into the asset manager world, wholesale world, working with bigger teams. It's been fun. So I don't even know, especially with how young we are, I think where things are going to end up. So it's been exciting to figure out where this travels. And that's why I say it'll be nice to see where this plays out. I imagine the next couple of months are interesting for us.
Yeah, I think September after Labor Day to Thanksgiving are going to say a lot about where this business goes and the trajectory it takes.
I agree. You know, we tell everybody else to be patient. We tell everybody it takes time, and you guys can see how much content we're pushing out with Corey and a hired content curator, as well as Kristen helping me in my end in my text post. So we have basically, if you include us, a 4-person team. And we know how hard it is to put out consistent content. And that's why, you know, you have to really think about where it's important to spend your time. Being an advisor is really hard to edit your own videos. And that's honestly why we started doing the do it for you business, but moving into teams, because there can be that situation where, you know, you're growing. You can't necessarily pay somebody to run your entire marketing operation, you know, but you know you need it. So you're doing a little bit of your own editing.
It's so hard. I think you and I have learned. I want to do an episode with you at some point where I'm interviewing you because I want to get some raw perspective from you on some things. But even having a team of 4, how hard is it to put out? Like, how hard is it? It's hard. Like, it's really hard to just generate quality, high-level content consistently.
It definitely is, because I realize with a strong message too, you do have to be on. Right. I can tell you this, if you wake up and you get in a fight with your spouse and then you go record a video, it's probably going to be a little bit off. Right. So you have to account for real life. And that's why that is difficult. But you're right. Even if you're not doing it, you're delegating it and you're like, hey, I want it like this, or it should look like this. And, you know, obviously what I think will really make us click is an exemplary team that has been together for a few months and I really feel like we've been starting to click. And that's why I can say it's really hard to hire somebody and bring in talent and train them, or you have to pay for somebody who knows more than you, which is expensive. It's difficult. And again, one of the reasons why we stepped into that business to be the team people can delegate to, because it's so difficult. And we're actively trying to find talent as a marketing company and hire so people can hire us. It's a mad rush for creatives right now. and very difficult to find somebody who I think can execute pretty relentlessly in the financial industry.
I will say this to anyone still watching and listening to you and I ramble here. If you literally have gotten your business to a point where you're like ready to hire somebody, I will tell you this: add 45 days to your process and $10 an hour, because creatives are in charge right now. I'll just say that it's a creatives market.
If somebody gives you back, like this is, I think if somebody can give you back an impressed feeling, if you can hand somebody a video from you and you're like, yeah, I said a bunch of ums and I know I messed up at the beginning, and you're sitting there and you're going, shit, okay, okay. And then you start again. But then when it hands back to you, it's like super clean, nice intro or something, solves your pain point. That is a more expensive feeling than I think people realize.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. It's like, we want nothing more than the content coming back to us being like, damn, that was good. Like when that happens, you'll pay whatever you can afford for that.
Exactly. And I think the other thing to mention is obviously with your skills, you're able to direct somebody as a creative in training. And the problem that most people have is they can't do that. There's a few people out there who are good at editing and terrific using software. And most advisors are not. And they shouldn't be. So they have to find somebody who knows what they're doing. And that's when you get into obviously jumping into that expense where you're doing it yourself. So I can understand you having that conversation with Jake, why it's so difficult to get started. And that's why I say introducing yourself and trying to become a better writer, because it's the quickest thing you can do that gets out right away. And most advisors can at least type something for themselves. So I think for a start, writing, becoming a writer is the easiest way. You don't have to edit. You can't expect somebody who hasn't been creating content to start creating graphics, start editing videos. That's way too far of a jump. And that's why I say I feel like writing, even if people think they aren't good at it, is still crawling before you can run.
I really like that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Like leave the video on the back burner. Just get going and start typing. I really like that. Hey, another one that came up. I'll steal another topic from another future episode here while we're just riffing. Cool. Building in public. Mm-hmm. Something that we're trying to do right now. I've seen various comments, pro and con for that. What are your thoughts on building in public, building your business and sharing the journey?
I was going to say, obviously, pro, as we're doing it. I hate what we're doing. I like showing people that stuff. I think it's stuff that doesn't matter. And then when you pop, people look back and they go, oh, cool, look at that. I was there. I got to watch them grow. I didn't even realize I was watching that. And we've had people comment on the growth and see the differences when we offer new services, see new websites, and notice our time changes versus.
What do you mean you're showing stuff that doesn't matter?
What do you mean? What'd I say?
You said you don't think you're putting stuff out that doesn't really matter, and then when you pop, people look back at it. What's the first part?
No, that's a bad way to describe it. I mean, like, I love showing the behind the scenes stuff because I don't know if it'll resonate as much now as when we're maybe a big company not doing that anymore. You see there's like 50 people on there. You can go back to those original episodes where you see there's only 2, and then maybe you go and then you see 4 people. So maybe you're not consuming every single episode, but you get to see like over the 6-month to year period that the employees are growing. I just think those little things, watching the growth plays out over time more so than impacts in those individual moments.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's fun. I'm excited to see if we can continue it, because talk about a content haul. It's like, here's 45 minutes of rambling. Turn this into something people want to consume. That's difficult. So that'll be interesting. But I don't know. If you got anything else, let's jam. But otherwise, let's let people get back to their morning, and you and I can get back to work.
Yeah. I think another good thing would be talking about how we organize personal brands versus company brands, because that's something we've been talking about hardcore. And it's a question everybody has of where do I put stuff? And it's a question even I ask. Like I almost started putting stuff on the company page, and you're like, why do that? You should have your own YouTube. You're going to have to switch it all over. And we had that conversation. I'm like, you're right. I can always be on the company page, but I don't have to label myself there. I have my own YouTube, company page YouTube. Like, it separates. And that's funny. We talked about, I was just talking about laying off personal brand, but obviously what I meant from that was sharing real personal stuff. I want the business to reflect the personal brand.
What I think we should do is have a topic on that, because that's a good one. And we talk about people about podcasting and all that. Like, yes. Don't name your podcast the, helping people retire show, like, because you're going to have content that doesn't fit that. And you want to be able to have that be put. We should talk about this in depth.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. All right, guys, have a good day. Have a good rest of your day.
Weekend. Cheers.
Weekend. Yeah. We'll see you again soon.
Summer. We'll see you at Labor Day.
Yeah, we'll be back. I do want to get some guests on here and do some more consistent shows. I do have some more ideas and things we can talk about. It's been so long now. We can definitely, rip some of these episodes, and we'll pop back in. Let us know what you guys think. Appreciate you guys being here.
Good to see you all.
How do I literally was looking around like, how do I end this? I was looking in brand. It's not there. It has really been a long time. I jumped on StreamYard like, man, I haven't seen you in a long time. This is the only reason we use this program. This is the real off the record. What do we have? Thing at 12, and that's it today?
Yeah, I'm psyched that we got a little bit extra time today. That helps.
Yeah.